must treat suicide not as an individual failing but as a government responsibility, said Young Soon, chairman of the state-run Korea Life Respect and Hope Foundation. In a recent interview with the Korea Times, Young, who took office last month, pointed to the persistently high number of Korean people who take their own lives. The rate has consistently been higher than other OECD member countries since 2003. And Young said that blaming individuals' personal problems is not tenable. This is not about a few people making bad choices. Young said it is a structural failure and the government must take primary responsibility for fixing it. According to official data, the 2024 suicide rate was 29.1 per 100,000 people with 14,872 deaths, an average of 41 lives lost every day. Although preliminary figures for 2025 suggest a modest decline of around 6.5%, Young cautioned against premature optimism. Fixing it requires a whole of government response. He noted the suicide rate should be read not just as a mental health statistic but as a key indicator of how Korean society is functioning as a whole. It is similar to the birth rate, he said. People decide to have children only when they feel there is hope for the future, when jobs, housing, schools, and the basic conditions of life are in place. In the same way, he suggested in Korea's suicide rate reflects whether people feel any realistic hope that their own future will get any better. All these structural factors are mixed into that one number, Young said. It is not a tally of individual failures, but a single stark signal about our society. One of the most effective strategies would be strengthening state protections for a critical high-risk population, such as the families of suicide victims. Bereaved families face a suicide risk that is 22 times higher than the general population. He said this is an area where we must intervene more systematically. Another vulnerable group is the people who have attempted suicide and survived, he added, who require long-term coordinated follow-up care rather than being left on their own. He emphasized that support after suicide should be treated as a core pillar of national strategy, not a secondary measure. Someone who has attempted suicide does not simply return to normal life after leaving the emergency room. Young said they require continuous monitoring and support. The same applies to their families. In practice, if someone arrives at an emergency room following a suicide attempt, that case should be immediately trigger a chain of responses linking doctors, local police, and fire services, as well as health officials in their community. At present, those links are weak, with information seldom being shared outside individual agencies. To improve this, Young is pushing for tighter data sharing among all relevant institutions, backed by legal revisions that allow quicker, clearer information flows. He also wants each municipality to designate an official as a dedicated suicide prevention officer tasked with coordinating welfare and health services, expanding frontline staffing, and making sure that no high-risk case falls through the cracks due to communication issues. At the same time, Young wants the foundation to boost its internal data capacity and upgrade its artificial intelligence-based system for monitoring signs that an individual is at risk, so that sudden spikes in danger can be detected and flagged more precisely. The goal, he said, is to build an evidence-based platform on which future policies can be designed and refined, with alerts for sudden surges in particular groups or areas, so that the data can be directly integrated into government responses. Beyond institutions, Young repeatedly returns to the idea of a cultural shift in which citizens learn to recognize warning signals from families and friends around them. The foundation plans to expand life guardianship education programs nationwide. If one person responds when someone reaches out for help, that can prevent a death, he said. This is a responsibility that belongs to all of us, but it must be led by the state.